MLS, you gotta be careful. You gotta be very, very careful with your business transactions. One of the things that's gonna hold traditional football, one thing that's gonna hold soccer back from growing in this country is the lack of transparency, the lack of clarity that takes place in business transactions and decision making within the league. I give you an example. Did you see what happened on Tuesday? Charlotte Football Club fired their coach out of nowhere. It caught all of us off guard. Charlotte FC is in its first season ever. This is its birth year. This is its inaugural season. And Charlotte FC, were they great? No. Were they good? No. Were they bad? No, not at all. They were they are an average team that has potential of becoming good. They are an average team that has potential of becoming great. They are an average team that once had the potential of becoming Austin next year. Now we see how Austin is. And last year, Austin was really bad. This year, Austin's one of the best teams in the West. That probably could have been Charlotte next year. But now we don't know. They fired their coach out of the blue moon without giving any clarity, without giving any clear details onto why. And when I was watching the press conference from the sporting director or the football director, whatever his title is, and it just looked like a waste of time. Because what's the point of you having a press conference if you're not going to give the people the information that they want? If you're not going to answer the questions that people want answered? If you're not going to bring clarity to the fans? So the lack of communication that's in the league. I'll give you another example. The TV deal. There's still no clarity. We still haven't heard from Don Garber on that. Las Vegas becoming expansion team 30. We still haven't heard from that either. So the lack of communication, the league's terrible job of communicating with the fans and communicating with the media, that's one thing that's going to hold the league back from growing. It's still going to grow, but it's not going to grow as fast as it can grow. And now here's another thing that's going to affect the growth. Now, is the league still going to grow? Yes, but it's not going to grow as fast as it can grow. The MLS's inability to protect its superstars. Now, listen, I understand that players, they're not slaves. They're free agents to negotiate deals and to go and play wherever they want to play. But when you're in a country and you're playing in a league that's trying to establish itself as a major professional league, at some point in time, it's just bigger than your brand. At some point in time, it's bigger than you. It's bigger than what you want to do. I think the players that's currently in the MLS needs to understand this. You are a pioneer for the new generation of soccer in this country. Soccer is the Bitcoin of American sports. Traditional football is going to be the big sport within the next 20 to 50 years. And you're the MLS. You're trying to establish yourself. You're trying to win fans in this country. You're trying to win fans over from Major League Baseball. You're trying to win fans over from the NHL. You're trying to win fans from the NBA. You're trying to win fans from the NFL. That's not going to happen without stars. It's the superstar that attracts the fans. It's the superstars that attracts the investment. It's the superstars that makes people want to watch your league. And if you're constantly losing superstar after superstar after superstar to Europe and Mexico every year, people are eventually going to lose interest. And this is something that I spoke on, or this is something that I've been speaking on since the end of 2021.
Now, yes, it is true. Europe is the creme de la creme for soccer. Europe is the place where the best players from around the world, they go to Europe to compete against the best of the best. However, MLS is on a mission to become popular on American soil. They're on a mission to compete with the NFL, the NBA, and Major League Baseball. You cannot do that without stars, rather superstars. Because sports leagues in America do not become popular solely on the team. They become popular through superstars. You must protect your superstar players at all costs, no matter what they do.
So MLS, you're in the midst of negotiating a TV deal. And I'm sure at some point during these negotiations with the various networks you talk to, I'm sure the question came up, who are the superstars? Who are the players that is going to attract viewers to our TV network? Because, these TV networks, these cable networks, the reason why they give NFL and NBA these mega deals and these mega contracts and these large sums of money is because they know they're going to receive a lot more in return through the superstars. They know that they're going to receive dividends because of the superstars. So I'm sure the question has come, all right, who are the superstars? Who are the players that's going to compel people to watch your game, watch your league on my cable network? Who are the superstars that's going to generate revenue from my TV network? And if all of your superstars are in Europe, what will you have to offer? What will you have to say? Listen.
Because they are the ones that give you the leverage in TV deals when you're at the negotiation table. A table that the MLS is getting ready to enter to. And when it comes to these TV deals, and when the MLS starts talking to these different networks, the main question that these TV networks are going to ask, who are your superstars? Who are the people that are going to draw fans to my TV network to watch your league play? If all of your superstars are in Europe and Mexico, you will not have anything to offer to the American public.
So you have two players in Gaga Slolina and Tati Castellanos that are heavily believed to leave not at the end of the season, but in the middle of the season. I repeat, you have two players in Gaga Slolina and Tati Castellanos that are heavily believed to leave not at the end of the season, not at the end of a supporter shield run, not at the end of an MLS Cup run, but within the middle of the season. You got a NYC FC team that's in the middle of 4 championship runs. Yes, 4 championship runs within the middle of the season. They're still in the running for the US Open Cup. They're still in the running for the Campeones Cup. So if you don't know the Campeones Cup is when the MLS champion plays against the Liga MX champion, and they go head to head. That's the Campeones Cup. So NYCFC is still in the run for the US Open Cup, the Campeones Cup, the Supporter Shield, because they have the best record in the Eastern Conference right now. So they're a candidate for the Supporter Shield. And they're on another run for another championship, another MLS Cup championship. So they can win the MLS Cup, and from back-to-back years, from back-to-back seasons, they can win the MLS Cup. They're in the middle of 4 championship runs. And one of their key players is basically planning to leave. In what typical American league would fans accept this? Could you imagine if the LA Lakers was a legitimate championship contender next season, the 2022-2023 season? They got the right coach. They finally got the right players that LeBron needs. And they're like head to head with the Golden State Warriors for the number 1 seed in the West. And then once we get to All-Star break, you hear reports about LeBron James negotiating a deal to go play for China, to go play for some basketball league in China. Could you imagine the outrage? Could you imagine the outrage if LeBron was legitimately negotiating a deal to go play for a basketball league in China in the middle of the Lakers trying to push for a championship run in the 2022-2023 season? That would be unacceptable. The whole city of LA will riot. The NBA wouldn't even announce this. The NBA wouldn't even come to the public and announce something like this, because they know how much fans they will lose. They'll know how much viewership they will lose. So now look at you, MLS. You want to know why you don't have the leverage at the negotiation tables for these TV deals that you want? It's because you're constantly losing stars. And you don't even lose stars not only at the end of the season, you also lose them within the middle of the season. You lose stars in the beginning, middle, and end of the season. And these cable networks, they're looking at this. They see this. They know this. Which is why you don't have that much leverage at the negotiation table to get the amount of money that you feel that you believe you deserve. Gaga Slonina and Tati Castellanos. Gaga Slonina and Tati Castellanos. They are 2 players in major media markets. Now, if these were 2 players in Chicago and Colorado, okay, whatever. It'll still be an issue that you're losing your stars, but they're in smaller markets. If they were like in Austin and Portland or Cincinnati or Nashville or Orlando, you're like, okay. I mean, it's still not good that you're losing your stars, but I mean, those are small market teams. Most people won't really know. Most people won't pay attention. But you're losing your star in the biggest city in the country. 2 of the biggest cities in the country, in LA and Chicago. And MLS, it just seems like you're happily announcing this like it's some kind of good thing. And it just seems like you're not embarrassed by this. So MLS, do you just want to turn it to a farm system for Europe? Do you want to be the English minor league? You just want to change your name from MLS to the English minor league? Because that's what it seems like you're turning into. You got players from South America. They come to the States. They improve their skills, whatever skill that they need to improve. They improve their skill. Then they go to Europe. If they don't go to Europe, they go back to South America. So maybe it's time for us to start investing more into American-born talent. Because this notion that Americans are not into soccer and that Americans are not as good in soccer as people in Europe and South America, that's a lie. And it's a bad perception to have. Now, no disrespect to Tati Castellanos At least he's honest and he wants to go back to his home country, Argentina. And there's nothing wrong with him going back to his home country in Argentina because that's his home. That's where his heart is. So Tati Castellanos is not doing anything bad. My talk is towards the MLS. In order for your sport to grow, and in order for us to avoid these things from happening moving forward, maybe it's time for us to start investing more into American-born talent. Now, does this mean that no American-born talent will reject a European offer? No, because Europe is still, it's the mecca of global football, similar to how America is the mecca of global basketball. Europe is the mecca of global football, and every professional football player, they should experience Europe at least for one season within their lifetime. There's nothing wrong with that. But throughout this decade, the 2020 decade, and the 2020 and in the 2030 decade, we need to find some players that is interested in not only becoming a star for their brand, not only interested in making a lot of money for their brand, but truly helping the sport become popular in America, because the potential is here. The potential is here. There are so many opportunities for players to win championships in the MLS. Like, you don't only have to rely on the one championship run. You got MLS Cup, you got Supporter Shield, you got US Open Cup, you got CONCACAF Champions League, you have Campeones Cup, you have FIFA Club World Cup. That's 6 I named. I know there's some other stuff going on. Oh, Leagues Cup. That's 7. If you know some more, let me know in the comment section. But I just named 7. US Open Cup, MLS Cup, Campeones Cup, Supporter Shield, Leagues Cup. I mean, it's so much opportunities for you as an American soccer player to build your brand. You athletes, you high school athletes that's interested in growing your brand and making a lot of money. You have a better opportunity to do that in the MLS than the NFL. You have a better opportunity to do that in the MLS than the NBA and the MLB and the NHL. Why? Because there are multiple tournaments in the MLS that take place within the season. There are multiple championship tournaments that take place within the season. So you have more opportunities to collect more rings in the MLS than any other league. And this is the kind of message that we have to start sending to the young Americans. So this notion that these other leagues are better than soccer and the MLS, that stuff can start to die. You have a better opportunity of making more money playing in the MLS than any other league. You have the opportunity to become a bigger legend, a bigger star in the MLS than any other league, because there are multiple championships and tournaments that take place within the season. The reason why it's not, a lot of them are not really known right now, because the league is still young and the league is growing, and a lot of changes are still being made. A lot of different tournaments are still being created as I speak. So that's why I say within, like, in the 2040s and the 2050s, that's when all this stuff will start to manifest. Now, the next collective bargaining agreement in the MLS, I don't know when that's going to be, but whenever the next collective bargaining agreement for the MLS, there needs to be a protective clause in the player's contract. And this protective clause will limit them to stay in the States for a certain amount of years. Now, this will not be for all players. This will be for the ones that emerge into stars. Now this can be tricky because we don't know when within their contract that they'll actually emerge into being a star. So that's going to be the issue. Because let's say they sign a 3-year contract. A player signs a 3-year contract. Let's say Danny Trejo, for example. Danny Trejo's for the Las Vegas Lights. He has the potential of being a mega star. Not only an American star, but he has the potential of being a mega star. He looks like a young Joseph Martinez. His contract with the Las Vegas Lights, according to Transfer Market, his contract is done in this November of 2022. So let's say Danny Trejo is the next replacement for Carlos Vela, and LAFC is negotiating a deal for Trejo. So let's say LAFC gives him a 4-year contract, hypothetically speaking. The thing is, when within those 4 years that he'll actually emerge into a star. So that's going to be the difficulty of creating this kind of protective clause, because I don't know when within the contract, what year within the contract that he will actually turn into a star, what year within that contract where he will actually win the Golden Boot, when within that year will he actually become an MVP. So that's going to be the difficulty. But I think the protective clause can be implemented as soon as he receives a bid from a European team. That's when the protective clause starts. Maybe it can be like a 1 or 2 year protective clause, or a 1 or 2 season protective clause. But that's just my idea. Look, I'm not a GM, I'm not a owner, so it's just an idea. It's just something for all of us to think about. There needs to be some kind of protective clause that protects the stars and which causes them to stay in America, to help the sport grow, to become more popular. Because MLS, if you continue to lose your stars like the way you're doing, you are not going to have leverage at the negotiation table for the TV deals. The cable networks like ESPN, Fox, Warner Discovery, Univision, they're gonna have the leverage because they make money off of the stars. Because people tune in to their cable network not to watch regular teams play, they tune into their cable network to watch the stars. That's why it looks like the NBA and the NFL are the 2 most popular sports in the league. And it looks as if that's the only 2 sports that people watch, which is not true. But it seems like it's that way. Why? Because they have the most stars. And they're not losing. The NBA is not losing its stars to China. The NFL is not losing its stars to the Canadian Football League. Can you imagine if the Kansas City Chiefs just got out of preseason and Patrick Mahomes says, I'm about to go play in Canada. There's a what's a Canadian team? Calgary. Let's hypothetically speak. I'll just say the Calgary football team in the Canadian Football League is offering me more money than you, Chiefs. So after this preseason, I'm going to play for Calgary. Calgary just placed a bid on me, so I'm going to play for Calgary. Could you imagine the outrage? The NFL wouldn't even make such rumor public. So MLS, is it a good thing that the Europeans are taking notice of your players in your league? Yes. But is it a good thing that they're constantly taking your stars? No. It's not a good thing at all. Because it's the stars that attracts people to watching your league. It's not the team, but it's the stars. You can